Let's go. Let's go.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Spotlight. My name is Dinah Ventura.
I am Jojo Silvestre. Today we have a very special guest in Spotlight. She's a polyglot. She speaks 7 languages.
Wow.
She's an alumna, high school and college, of Marynoah, which is now Miriam, no? But when it was Marynoah, it was something else, they say.
Yes.
And she is the wife of former Spanish ambassador to the Philippines, the Honorable Sagaz. Today, our guest is the president of the Museum Volunteers of the Philippines. Let us welcome Miss Aurora Bubut Lapus-Sagaz. Hi, Aurora.
Good afternoon.
Jojo and Dinah.
Welcome to Spotlight.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
We're happy to have you here.
Yes. So, Aurora, how has it been like for you since the pandemic? Were you...
I've hardly left my apartment in a year and a half, really. It's,
wow.
But, you sort of get used to everything. Like, if this is life, well, I'll just have to adapt. I can live here. I've learned how to do things like baking sourdough bread.
Ooh.
Oh.
I thought I would never do. And since my maid had to go back to the province, I learned how to take charge of the kitchen, go back to cooking, which I always loved, and baking, cakes, cookies, everything. So, and the MVP has kept me very busy also.
Oh, so
Yeah,
that was that went on even during the pandemic, your work in the
Yeah.
museum.
Because, well, we thought, when the pandemic started, we were like just about to finish the year. And we thought we just have a few more lectures to finish the history course. So we said, well, the only way is to do it via Zoom lectures. So we thought this is the answer. Since everybody's talking about Zoom, we can put our lectures on Zoom and finish the history course and continue the next year on an online platform. So that's what we had to learn how to do, take it digital for the whole year.
I'm curious about how you became active in the museum volunteers. Is it something that you've always been interested in, the whole museum thing and all that?
I started with the museum volunteers in 1991 when
Oh, wow.
I was first posted here as the deputy head of mission at the Spanish embassy. So
Okay.
I had heard about the docent course that was offered by the MVP, and I said, well, this is something that would be useful for me to refresh my knowledge of Philippine history and meet new friends. So we had this docent course at the Ayala Museum, and the purpose was to train people to train the dioramas of, they have like about 60 dioramas in the Ayala Museum. And they offered a whole year history course to explain each period of history. And then you would be assessed. You would practice with the dioramas and you had to link one event to the next. And that's how I got hooked into, loving the museum vaults, because after that I joined the study groups. And once you research on a topic, you find out how enjoyable it is. You learn so much. You are in a small group and you are studying and researching together, and you present it. And if you present something, you better know your stuff because they're going to be asking you questions, right? So one door leads to another, and you just keep researching and researching, and you find out you know very little. You get hooked.
Yeah. Is the organization part of a museum, or it's independent of any a museum?
Yeah, we are independent of the museums, but we used to have liaisons with all the museums, but since the pandemic, we haven't had really any activity with the museums because most of them closed. And we do work closely with the National Museum. We used to have tours there, and we ask their staff to give us lectures, to be our speakers for the history course.
How big is the group? How many members do you have?
Yeah, this year we have just a little over 100, but we used to have about 200 before the pandemic.
Okay.
wow,
And how does
large.
one become a member of that group?
Yeah, you just register. You can email mvpmember@gmail.com, and to register as a member, it's only 1,500 pesos for the year. It used to be 1,000. And to enroll in the history course, it's 2,500.
Okay.
It's quite cheap for what we offer.
Was your interest, is this interest, does it go back all the way to your Marynoah days?
One thing I remember from what the Marynoah, the American Marynoah nuns taught me, and it's something that's stuck in my head, was education was seeing everything as part of a whole. And I
okay.
always thought about that. So whatever you learn really is part and connected with something else.
Yeah.
Agree.
Up to you to connect the dots to make it whole, right?
Yeah. It was a prestigious school, no? So tell us more about the academic requirements and all that, and why was it considered prestigious, especially those days?
I think because the Marynoah nuns gave a very good curriculum, a complete liberal education. We were very lucky to have these American nuns because they were all very bright, in their fields. And they taught in a way that was fun. Each nun had a different personality, and one was even like a California beauty queen, and we would watch her glide through the corridor. She was tall and beautiful. Another one was came from an Italian neighborhood in New York, who was super friendly, would, just, hold us like this and just joke with us. And another would be, would love to sing and play the guitar and all of that. So that photo, by the way,
Oh, wow.
how diverse we are. When we were 200, we represented over 30 nationalities.
Wow.
And now we represent about over 20. So we have Americans, Canadians, British, Spanish, Japanese, Indians, Bangladeshi, Sri Lankan, and of course many Filipinas.
Yes. And they're based all over, not just here in the country.
Yeah, now that we've gone digital, we have members who live in India, in Canada, in the US. Some of them are brothers and sisters who I roped in.
Oh,
So,
Okay, so that was Marynoah, right?
yeah, Marynoah was fun. Were they strict also?
sorry, Jojo?
Were the nuns strict? I mean, you hear of other nuns, like,
No, they weren't. I don't think they were very strict. They made learning fun, I think. I don't remember them as strict.
oh,
So,
They would play like baseball with us. They would play volleyball, or even in their long habits, Then, of course, later on, they began to shed their, religious habit. But they were strict about, certain things. Now I remember about the length of your skirt.
yes, of course.
yeah.
You couldn't wear mini skirts. So you had to kneel on the floor, and the hem of your skirt had to touch the floor.
Wow, that's long.
Wow, yeah.
But your interest in history, did that start when you were still a student in Marynoah, or it came out at some point in your life?
I have to be honest, I hated history. Because we had a Filipino teacher who did not know how to teach history.
Okay.
To teach history, you really have to, show the historical characters were really interesting personalities, But she taught us like dates and names.
Yeah.
No, did not know how to make it interesting.
Yes.
So now,
yes.
we study history from another perspective. You know, you talk about Magellan and Lapu-Lapu as real people, and Legazpi, another, you know, very interesting person.
Yes.
Legazpi,
Oh.
who was very old and had to travel from Mexico to the Philippines, and endure that long voyage, and then to found Manila in his 70s. You know, that was a big feat.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about teaching. How you teach history really has an effect
Yeah.
on how much you get to love learning it, right?
Yes, yes.
So, was this something that you set out to do when you became president of the MV Museum Group?
Yeah, we, of course, we try and make history, you know, inspiring and interesting, and to understand it as a human event. That's very important, and to realize the drama of all of these historical personalities, like Magellan. I always think of his voyage, his first voyage to the Philippines. He had to go through mutinies and, you know, assassination attempts, and one of his boats just decided they were not going to follow him and went back to Spain, and he had to go through these treacherous straits, you know, at the southern tip of South America, and he didn't know where he was going. He had an inkling that there was a passage through to get to the other side of the continent, but he would like go in an inlet and then find out it was like a dead end, and go back and come through again, and then go back until he made it through the strait, which is now called the Straits of Magellan, no?
Yes.
Yeah, if you teach history like that, then you get hooked.
Yes, I agree.
I wonder if her love for history has to do with her romance with the
It's her own
ambassador.
love story.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us about the ambassador. How did you meet, and what did you like in him, and what did he like in you?
Well, I met him when he was still a student at the diplomatic school in Madrid. So at that time, that was 1975, and many years ago. So I was studying French at the University of Sorbonne, what they call the Cours de Civilisation Française, and I had a week's vacation. It was Easter week, Semana Santa, and I had a good friend in Madrid, Priya Gonzalez, who said, "Come and visit me." So she said, you know, "I'll pick you up at the train station." And well, the day that I arrived at the train station, Ignacio was at her apartment, because Ignacio knew the group of Filipinas in Madrid because his brother had married a Filipina also.
Oh, wow.
So he knew this group of Filipinas, and he said, so Priya asked him, "Could you have a car, right, Ignacio?" And in her Filipino way, drive me to the train station. I have to pick up a friend. And he said, "No, I don't want. I'm going to sit here and watch football with my friend." "No, come on. She's nice. She's tall." You know, nice plug. And he said, finally, "Oh, okay, I'll drive you to the Chamartin train station." And so that's how it went.
Oh,
I arrived from Paris, you know, really dizzy from a overnight train ride. I arrived there, and I thought, you know, the Spanish guy was Priya's boyfriend. But he was sizing me up and down, looking at me, and asking all sorts of questions like, is this your first time here? And do you speak Spanish? And how long are you staying? And what do you do? And I said, Priya, who is this guy? So that's how it started, 1975.
Ba't nawalang Juan?
1975. And then what happened? How long was the courtship?
Yeah.
So he was finishing his 2-year course in the diplomatic school, and then he had to study for a whole year to pass the very, very rigorous exam. And so he convinced me. I was supposed to work at UNESCO in Paris, and he said, forget Paris, Madrid is so much better. You have to come here. So after a few months, I decided to move from Paris to Madrid. And I found a job there with Hughes International. And he said, I want to get married as soon as I become a diplomat. As soon as I finish, we're getting married. So we were married 2 years after, as soon as he passed. And we were assigned to our first posting in far off Australia.
Wow. So how has it been like being an ambassador's wife?
Yes.
What was the enjoyable part and the challenging part?
Many enjoyable parts. Many, countless. But I think the most enjoyable, I would say, would be the opportunity to meet all sorts of interesting people from all walks of life, from presidents to royalty to the very common people, the man in the street. We were lucky enough to meet and to be with the King and Queen of Spain,
Yeah.
Felipe and Princess Letizia before they became the King and Queen.
Oh.
Celebrities like, I remember when we were in Brazil, meeting and talking with Marcello Mastroianni, when he was filming Gabriela Cravo Canella, and people like Pelé and Jacques Cousteau,
Yes.
Wow, nice.
Zubin Mehta, Jose Carreras, Michael Caine in Hanoi, and Shakira Cain and Brendan Fraser when they were filming The Quiet American.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
All sorts of different personalities.
He would invite us to the set, and he was so friendly. He would explain, the story of, he would, in his sort of Cockney accent. I'm a very an old guy, and I've got this girlfriend, see, and this is our house. And, he was so down to earth. So I think those are the most memorable, most enjoyable part of being wife of the ambassador.
Aurora, I'm curious about the cultural differences between her and the ambassador. There must have been some colorful moments for them. But before we talk about that, let's pause for a break. We're back on Spotlight, Dinah.
Yes, Jojo.
May issues tayo dahil sa Mercury retrograde.
Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, but we're back with Aurora, with whom we were talking about her life in
Love.
Madrid, and then would like to zero in on her love affair with the ambassador. I just wonder if it's easy dealing with someone else
A
of
different
another
culture?
Yeah.
Different
so,
nationality.
yung cross-cultural differences, so to speak. Aurora, tell us, paano ba kayo nag-adjust sa isa't isa? Was it easy adjusting to each other?
I didn't see any difficulty
Okay.
because he had lived in the U.S.
Ah,
was exposed to American life because his uncle was the Spanish ambassador in Washington D.C.
oh wow.
And his father said, "Why don't you go over and do some kind of an apprenticeship?" Because he had just become a lawyer and was thinking of studying to become a judge. And so his father said, "I think 1 year in Washington, D.C. with your uncle would do you good." So he loved the life in the U.S. and all his friends there and the staff in the embassy, the diplomats were all saying, "Ignacio, you are a lawyer and you speak English already. You know, you're crazy if you don't want to pursue a diplomatic career. You would become a wonderful diplomat." Why they convinced him to go back to Madrid and go to the diplomatic school and become a diplomat. So that's what he did.
Okay.
So you wanted me to
Yeah, was it easy? I mean,
Adjusting
but
to each
because
other.
of this American
Also,
exposure.
yes, and Aurora's Spanish exposure in her youth, di ba?
Yeah,
With the family.
That
So
made
it's
it.
like easy.
Yeah.
already had sort of a combination of cultures in us.
Yes.
And when we met, we found out that our favorite music was Brazilian music and bossa nova.
Okay.
I said, "What's your favorite music?" He said, "Bossa nova." I said, "No way!" I said, that was my favorite. I used to belong to a bossa nova band in college, and he said that is my go-to music. Up to now, we both listen to bossa nova and Brazilian music.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aurora, was it in your case? Did you have difficulty? You were supposed to promote Spanish culture because you're the wife of the Spanish ambassador. Did you lapse into promoting Philippine culture instead?
Well, because our histories were intertwined,
Okay.
easy, no? But I guess I started to love studying history when I was in Spain because history, you are surrounded by history, right? You live among Roman ruins. If you go to Segovia, you have the aqueduct in front of you that was built in the 1st century by the Romans, and it's still there and it's still working. And you go anywhere in the country and you'll find remnants of the Arab occupation. They were there for 700 years, so you'll find Arab lookouts, and so many names are Arabic, like Wad al-Kibir is Wad al-Kibir, and Gibraltar is in fact an Arab name that means Jabal Tariq, which means the mountain of Tariq. Tariq was the one who led the Moorish forces across from the north of Africa into Spain in Gibraltar. So history is all around you. There's so much history everywhere. ancient churches, bridges, monuments. You know, you go to places like Granada, Cordova, Sevilla. There's just so much. The old streets, Toledo, Segovia, Avila, Salamanca. It's all over.
Yeah.
You're forced to study the history if you want to understand the city that you're visiting.
Okay.
Aurora, how do you, did you also learn how to cook? Of course, no, you've always learned that. But were there other aspects of Spanish culture that shocked you?
It shocked me.
Yes.
That shocked me. I can't really think of anything that shocked.
So it was okay. It was really smooth.
A smooth transition.
What do you like best about Spain? And what does the ambassador like best about the Philippines?
The best about Spain, no, the people are fantastic. Like I said, the history that you live with all around you.
Oh, okay.
Food is fantastic. I mean, you know, I don't have to really expound on it. Everybody knows about jamon ibérico and paella and you know, calamares fritos, fish seafood.
Sarap. Yeah.
Wines, the wines are fantastic. Also, the climate, you've got, you know, sunshine like 10 months of the year. Very mild. You know, you could be, like if you were in Granada, you could be skiing in Granada, and then an hour later you drive down to the beach. You could be swimming in the beach in Granada or Malaga.
Malaga, yes.
Yeah.
How about him? What does he like about our
About
country?
the Philippines.
Again, the people, they're so friendly, and he finds the Filipinos like you know, so genuine, loving, loyal, just easy to get along with. You know, Filipinos are the best thing in this country.
Totoo naman, ano?
The best export. You know,
That's true.
Filipinos in every corner of the world. But you go to Finland, you'll find Filipinos, even in Iceland, and they really become successful in anything they do anywhere in the world. They adapt. I mean, I've heard, you know, Filipino domestic help. I mean, in Rome, they speak perfect Italian. They speak perfect Spanish. In Spain, they learn the language easily. We have this gift that tongue is very flexible and we can pronounce anything.
Yes. I'm curious about your life as the wife of an ambassador. So you've traveled to many different places, met so many different people and personalities, royalty, celebrities, everything. What were the most memorable moments for you? What can't you forget, or you always try to recall now during the pandemic, when we can't move, we can't go out, we can't travel anymore? So what do you want to...
My all-time top person that I met, the most impressive and the most inspiring, would be Queen Sofia of Spain.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
She was such a professional, so, you know, the epitome of class and
Yes.
humility. We had the unique opportunity to travel with her without the king in Vietnam for about 4 days. From Hanoi, we went on a tour to Da Nang, to Hoyan, and to Hue. And we had her all to ourselves with her staff, of course. So we were like 5, 6 people having breakfast with her, lunch and dinner for 4 days, and she would tell us, personal stories of her childhood. She's, as you know, Greek, with a German background, speaks perfect English, Greek, German, Spanish, of course. And there were so many anecdotes about her. She was so down to earth and so humble, and so compassionate and aware of every person. I remember in Hanoi, the foreign ministry gave her a limousine, to take her from one event to the other. And she said, no, I'm staying in the bus with the rest of my staff and ambassador and his wife. I don't want a limousine. Oh, so, okay. So she was in the bus with us. And then when she was leaving Hanoi, we took her to the airport. And so we were sort of rushing, and then she had gotten down from the bus, and then she stopped in her tracks and said all of a sudden, Ambassador, I have to go back to the bus. I forgot something. So we go back to the bus, and she went up and she shook the hands of the driver and said, thank you so much. You've been a wonderful driver.
Oh, wow.
And she left. Oh my God. She had to go back because she forgot to say thank you to the Vietnamese driver.
Wow.
That is Queen Sophia.
Wow.
And
yeah.
Anecdote I have to tell you was said to me by a Spanish senator, and she said one time they were traveling with the Queen and the King, and they went for a stopover, and they were in Alaska. And he was asleep because it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. So the Queen went down and just wanted to check out the shops in the airport with the senator. And so they were speaking in Spanish, and one souvenir shop owner said, oh, Españoles, Spaniards, he was going. So they walked towards him and he said, see. Obviously, he did not recognize the Queen. And, oh, they don't listen. Where are you from? Oh, Madrid, they were saying. He was explaining, I have ancestors from Spain. And so he was just asking, ¿a qué se dedican? What do you do? The Queen just said, we're civil servants. Somos funcionarias in Spanish.
Okay.
Somos funcionarias. And, okay.
Yeah.
You're the Queen of Spain and you're saying, I'm a civil servant.
Yeah.
So, it shows you how down to earth and humble Sophia is.
Is she related to General Franco?
No.
Oh, she's not. Akala ko. Okay.
Her father was the king of Greece.
Oo nga pala. Yeah.
Federica, who was from the German.
Oh, yes. So she's related to Prince Philip
Prince Philip who?
of England.
Well, yes, because Prince Philip was from the Greek royal house.
Yeah.
So they are cousins. Yes.
Oh, ganun pala.
Yeah. Philip Battenberg. His name was Battenberg, and then was sort of adapted to English as Mountbatten.
Oo, naging Mountbatten.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Wow, parang
let's go back to the museum
Yeah.
volunteers. Yeah, yeah.
Parang,
And that was a good one, huh?
oh, anecdote. I
Oh,
like
oh,
that.
oh, oh.
So interesting to get a glimpse of Queen Sophia that
Yeah.
way, no?
And
Firsthand.
personal experience of Bubut,
Galing.
of Aurora.
Yeah.
So,
Go, go ahead, Dina.
please tell us more about the forthcoming lecture series of the Museum Volunteers Association of the Philippines.
Well, the Philippine history course has been going on for almost 40 years. Would you
Did you know
Huh?
that? I didn't.
Wow.
40 years? Yeah. Because it started like, yeah, somewhere in the mid 80s. And so it's been a yearly course. It started, like I said, as a docent course for the Ayala Museum. And when the Ayala Museum closed, we moved to the Heritage Museum, which was the Filipinas Heritage Museum, which is in the Nielsen Tower building. And then we moved the course back to the Ayala Museum when they renovated the building. And then we went to the Ateneo Law School amphitheater, and we were there for about 5 years. And then we moved again to Sunshine Place up to the pandemic. We do it online. But I recommend for everyone who has the time to follow this history course because it's a comprehensive course of the whole history of the Philippines from the early history
Wow.
up the modern era. So we start with 700,000 years before BP, before the Philippines, with an archaeologist who works with the Ateneo de Manila and the National Museum. Her name is Mylene Leasing. And we go on through, the indigenous peoples, and then we go through the Spanish colonial period to the American colonial period, the Commonwealth, and then World War II, the Japanese occupation, and then the post-war period, all of the presidents, from Rojas to Marcos, and then the modern era, which takes us to today, the pandemic. So it's a complete history
Yeah.
course,
Wow.
lectures, and we tap historians, experts, authors to give the lectures.
Yeah.
For 2,500 pesos, I think it's a very good deal.
How long is the course? Is that one?
So
month?
it runs from, we start October 27, a couple of weeks time. So you will get an overview of the whole course, and then every Wednesday morning from 10:30 till noon, Wednesday morning, the first 3 Wednesdays of each month until April the 6th.
Yeah.
That is our last day.
Okay.
Are there exams?
Oh, no exams. You just have to listen and then read on your own if you're interested enough. Read on your own, and you just listen. And then after every lecture, there's a question and answer portion where
Nice.
you can ask the speaker. We've had very, very illustrious speakers like Justice Carpio, with
Yes.
Yokno, Conchita Morales,
Oh, wow.
and we've had Professor Xiao Chua,
Yes.
Bayan, who is a brilliant economist with Ateneo. So you have you get the complete picture of Philippine history in painless lectures online. So you could, in your pajamas watching it.
Who are the people who usually enroll? in these courses?
Usually expats, but then now we have more and more Filipinos, which is
Yes.
Nice.
good, fantastic. We have we have even ambassadors and ambassadors' wives who enroll. This year we have the Russian ambassador as a student.
Oh.
2 years ago we had the wife of the Russian ambassador also, and other wives of ambassadors. And we have, I'm proud to say, Louis Locsin, who is the
Yeah.
wife of the
Uh, the secretary.
TFA.
Yeah.
secretary. And, you know, people from everywhere, expats and Filipinos.
Yeah.
Good.
Who is lecturing on the Marcos years?
Who lectures?
Yes, on the Marcos years.
We have Professor Xiao Chua,
Oh, nice. Interesting. Yeah.
and JC Punong Bayan. And Marcos years. See, what do we have? I have here. Eta Rosales we have,
Oh, wow.
and Shell Giocno.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
a mix of views.
Yeah.
Right?
Richard Haydarian. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's an excellent course. I've taken it 6 times. I always learn something new.
Yeah, there's always something new. So how does one enroll and how much does one pay and all that?
Okay, so if you just email MVP at mvpmember@gmail.com. Okay, that's easy to remember. Just mvpmember@gmail.com. We will send you the form to register, and you just send online or GCash to our bank account. Like I said, it's very little money for what you get.
Yes, yes, yes. Knowledge eh.
Knowledge.
Oh, at saka their point of view.
Oh, yes.
Oo.
Oo nga. I'm curious because you said that you've taken the course 6 times and there's always something new to learn. So I guess it's true what they say, that history, that the telling history also is colored by different views of the storyteller, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So we have different views. You know, like it's unfortunate, for example, that many people think that the Spanish colonial years were negative.
Yes.
But you know, you have to know that Spain left so much for the Philippines.
Yes.
Ambassador Sagaz to give that lecture, Spain's legacy to
Oh,
the Philippines.
nice. Yes. Wow. Okay.
And he has a whole presentation, everything from, you know, architecture, the transport, like the tranvia, medicine, hospitals, schools,
Oo nga naman.
all of that were left and brought to the Philippines by Spain. And in fact, the Philippines became a nation only after the arrival of the Spaniards, because we were all like groups of sultanates and kingdoms, and Spain, for the first time, established the map of the Philippines
Yeah.
in 1734.
Oh.
I don't know how in those days, without satellite
Yes.
images, they were
Good.
able to get a very accurate map
Yes.
of the Philippines.
Ang galing, ano? Ang galing nila.
Cartographers of
Yeah.
the time.
Exactly. And we were proven at the lecture, one map, let's say just a random map of the coast of, let's say, Batangas, that was made by the Spanish cartographers. And you superimpose that on a satellite imagery, and it was so accurate. And the method they did then was just what they call triangulation. You know, it's like what engineers use. If you know the distance from this point to that point, and you know the distance from this point to that point, then you can figure out the third, and that's how they did it.
All math.
Yeah. Will the lecture tackle the West Philippine Sea?
Yes, yes, absolutely. We had Justice Carpio give a lecture, a live lecture on that. That is part of the last module, which is the contemporary era.
Yes, yes. That's
Yeah.
right.
I think we need to attend that, right?
I am attending.
Okay.
At saka maganda yung oras eh. It's Wednesday morning, no?
Wednesday morning at
Oo.
10:30. Dinah, you are most welcome also
I
to be
will.
a student.
I will enroll. Okay, so
May PS ako.
oh sige, go.
How does one learn all those languages? What languages do you speak?
Filipino, English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Russian, and Italian.
Wow.
Wow, I'm
How did you manage to do that?
Spanish because I had heard it from childhood, and then when I was working at the UN, and they gave free language lessons.
okay.
This was in New York, and I started with Spanish and French there. But before that, I had lived for 1 year in Moscow because my father sent me there because there was a scholarship, and he said, just one day called me to his office and said, "I'm sending you to Moscow." I said, "What?" "I'm not going to Moscow." I
Well,
said,
Russia.
"Send me to Paris." Right, French.
Oh.
So that's how my journey into learning languages began.
Yeah, I don't think it's very easy for everybody. So it takes a certain
Yeah.
brain.
Yung gift eh.
Yeah,
It's also a
the
gift. Oo.
Oh,
I think Filipinos have that gift, really, because imagine we grew up with Filipino, English, and Spanish. The 5,000 words of Spanish in Tagalog. You know, when you listen to Tagalog,
Oo.
it's all sorts of Spanish words in it, you know.
right.
Trabajo, kamusta ka is from kamusta.
Oo.
You know, everything, basura. These are all Spanish words that we think they're Tagalog, right?
Yes. It's all
Yeah,
really
that's right.
related, so it's easier if you really think about it.
Yeah. But is para Spanish?
Para?
Para.
Oh, when you stop the bus.
Yeah, para. Exactly. Parar. The verb is parar. Para aquí.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, okay.
pag nagpara ka, sabihin mo, parar.
Yeah. I know. One time I'll never forget the mate of my friend in Iloilo said, "Senyorita, ang orno hindi nagafunksyonar." I said, "Wow, that's half Spanish."
Oh.
Orno.
Orno is oven.
Yeah.
Hindi nagafunksyonar.
That's a
It
function.
doesn't work.
Oo. Ang galing. Oo. Totoo naman, di ba?
You know, lahat, when you watch TV and you look at the captions of the headlines, half of it is Spanish. Everything from, bakuna,
God naman. Oh,
inspector, lahat,
these are Spanish words.
religion, konsiderasyon, lahat, all of that.
It should be easy, pero when we took Spanish classes, parang ang hirap, di ba?
It's the conjugation.
It's the thought of having exams, maybe. You know, the pressure.
Sorry, eres es.
And anyway, so Jojo, let's take a break.
Okay.
And when we return, we'll play a game with
Okay.
Aurora.
Oh.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
It's time for the all-new season of the Athletes Tribune. Non-stop revelations,
Gusto namin itanong ngayon kung ano ba yung status mo ngayon with your team, with Santa Lucia.
diretsahang usapan,
Let's talk about the national team. And alam po namin na hindi ka nakasama sa original crew. Medyo nagulat ka ba doon?
and exciting updates.
Kamusta ba ang puso ni Nika Reyes?
Abangan ngayong Lunes ang 3-time UAAP champion at multi-awarded middle blocker, isa sa mga pinakahinahangaan sa Philippine volleyball, Mika Reyes. Ngayong Lunes na, October 18, 7 p.m. sa pina-exciting na season ng The Athletes Tribune.
So we're back. As we were telling Bubut, we're going to play a game.
Yeah.
We'll find out her preferences in life.
In life talaga. Okay, it's called Would You Rather.
Jonah, what's the first would you rather question?
Okay, would you rather go back in time or see the future?
Go back in time.
History,
nga
right?
naman. That's true.
Life was so much simpler then.
And at this point, I think I don't want to see what the future will be. Anyway. Okay, number 2, Jojo.
Okay, would you rather have wings to fly and see the world from up there
Or,
or fins to explore under the sea?
Wings to fly.
Oo nga naman, ano? Better perspective yun.
Hear the sparks.
okay,
Okay.
so would you rather be an artist or a beauty queen?
An artist.
Some results from a search.
Whoa.
What's that? Okay.
Although you could be a beauty queen, judging from the pictures I saw.
Yes. Now, would you rather have, do you pronounce this paella?
Eh,
Would you rather have paella or do you know bringhe for lunch?
Inhe. I don't really know what that is.
But there's another, yung sa Pampanga, yung rice.
Let's just ask, what's your favorite Spanish food na lang?
Rice. A rice
A
food.
rice-based.
Between paella and kare-kare, I'll say kare-kare.
Okay.
Oh, really? Oh,
Good
yes.
choice.
Okay.
All right.
I'll take fabada anytime.
Okay. Would you rather be a piece of art or a best-selling novel?
A best-selling novel.
Yes. Ibang stimulation, ano, what you give to the reader.
Right,
no?
right.
And
Exactly.
then, would you rather go to Vietnam or Thailand for a vacation?
I've lived in both countries for many years.
Yes.
For a vacation, maybe Vietnam, because I haven't been there for a long time, and I've been to Thailand many times.
But for a long-term stay, like a year of just being there.
A year, maybe Thailand then.
Oo, ano? Oo.
How about, would you rather go around the Philippines or Spain?
That's hard. Maybe I've been around to both. Maybe Spain because it's easier to get around
Oo nga naman.
and drive, you know. And
Oo.
so many little towns to discover. Yeah.
Okay.
Here, because you'd have to take an airplane all the time or a ferry. Yeah.
Oo nga, no?
Oo, magro-roro ka pa. And row.
Row and row. So, just a question, I'm curious. What do you miss most about Spain when you're not there, and the Philippines when you're not here?
Oo nga.
I think what I miss most is, walking either in the city. You can just walk Madrid up and down the streets, and you enter, and so many shops and bakeries and little cafes, people all around, and parks. You have the big Retiro Park that is right
What
in
is
the
the
middle of the
advice?
city. Museums,
What can you say to
there's walking, and then if you're outside the city, you can go to the mountains, go on trails,
Oh, wow.
historical towns. But then when I'm not there, I miss if it's winter there, I miss the warmth here. I miss a good beach and snorkeling and Filipino food, which I love. So yeah, there are good things in both places.
Oo.
That's right. I remember I traveled to Madrid once and we got lost. And then there was this sudden rain, so we got soaked. So I'll never forget that. But walking is really a good thing to do when you're in Spain. I
Talaga?
agree, yes. Gotta
Yeah,
get
walk.
maganda.
Did you eat?
Of course! Sarap na
Food ang
talaga.
iniisip
The food
ko eh.
and the wines were so nice. Anyway.
You must have enjoyed it.
Yes. So,
Any more? What do you prefer?
would you rather
No, okay. I think that's
live in the
oh.
Philippines or Spain? Ayan na. Yung final, would you rather?
I thought you asked that. People.
No, you remember or miss most, di ba?
Oo.
Well, actually, now,
Well,
because ever since Ignacio retired in 2013, we've lived here.
Yes.
That's already like 8 years.
Wow.
So I'm ready to live again in Spain.
Oo nga.
In 8 years here, plus with the lockdowns, I have been under house arrest for a year and a half. So I'm ready for some freedom.
Yes.
How is the traffic in Madrid?
Very tolerable. It's not like here that, traffic moves. And then so many means of transportation. They've got a good subway system, a bus system that really works. So there's never really a very bad traffic jam. It's maybe when there's a festival or something, and
That's
or a football match, then maybe the roads around the stadium will be blocked.
The only thing is, I think you really should know some Spanish when you're there, right?
Yeah.
So you can move around
But like what she said, you can say derecho.
para. Anyway, So, Jojo, can you...
Probably be understood.
Konting Chabacano.
Oo nga.
Sa Bacano, you will really be understood. Yeah. Although it's funny, Chabacano, they say, like, como te llamas is, what's your name?
Yeah.
And they say, Chabacano, ¿qué cosa tu nombre?
Oo.
Oo.
Oo, iba naman.
If you say that to a Spaniard, it'll be weird, but they'll understand you. ¿Qué cosa tu nombre? You know?
Okay.
Language.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Aurora, how would you, I'm curious because I think right now, with elections coming up, I think it's most important now for the youth to learn more about our history, right?
Yeah.
So they can make better choices.
I
So,
agree.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would love for every Filipino to really study their history.
Yes.
Books, and there's so much really in the internet. If let's say the Spanish colonial times interests you, you just Google, Spanish colonization in the Philippines. If you are interested in the Philippine Commonwealth, you Google that. But if you have the time, take the MVP Philippine History course.
Yes.
right.
It's a big overview in just 16 lectures. And for the Filipino youth, they always say you have to know where you came from, right? To
Yes.
know where you're going. So you have to know your past. You have to know
Yes.
the Philippines. Why did the Spaniards come here? Why did the Americans come here? What were they interested in? Why did they stay? Why did the Japanese come? What happened after World War II? No? And what did the government do to rebuild our nation after the destruction of World War II? And what is our government doing now? And I think really what we need is for the youth to be able to think analytically, to vote correctly in the next election, to vote wisely, to choose the leaders who are not just popular, who are good looking, or who are, who are actors or whatever, but who will really lead this country forward to the next generations. We need competent, honest, and compassionate leaders.
I agree.
Yes,
That's
yes,
a very
that's
good
right,
thing to
yeah.
remind people of.
They should watch this. They should attend this lecture.
Yes, I
So
think
they
it's
have a-
very important.
Historical perspective,
Not just for the youth, even for people now who forget,
Yeah.
who have forgotten
Oo.
their roots.
or who don't even know up to now. I'm sure you learn a lot from these
Yeah.
lectures.
And I hope a lot of people enroll and enjoy 16 classes.
That's
Yes.
it. And it's just for an hour, and then
Yes.
there's question and answer with the
Oo.
speaker.
Okay. Very good.
Habang kumukulo yung whatever you're cooking, while waiting for it to get soft, no, tender.
Oo. Eto, and finally, I think a lot of people are also eager to go back to visiting mga museums, but are they still closed at this point?
I think so.
I think they're closed. They're probably going to open soon because, to survive, I think they should open. Plus, if the country is also opening and they say now that there's no more need for quarantine for inbound travelers, I think, things will open up. They're also opening up cinemas, right? So
Wow.
Oo.
the
Bawal
next
magkatabi.
stop will be museums.
But what's the point of going to the cinema if you can't be beside your lover?
To entertain yourself. Okay, so that's Jojo. So
Okay.
I'm just writing down here so that I can show it to the people. The email, MVP member,
Okay.
mail.
Yes.
That's we start on the 27th of October. So
people still have
okay.
time.
Oh, there,
Yeah, there
there.
you go. MVP
Okay,
Philippine
that's
History
good.
Course. MVP member at gmail.com.
Okay, okay.
There you go.
okay.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Miss Aurora Lapus-Sagaz, for joining us this afternoon on Spotlight. We've truly enjoyed talking with you about
Yes.
history and about your life.
Yes.
Very colorful and interesting life, no?
And accomplished.
And very accomplished lady. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon and for sharing your story with us.
Thank you. And looking forward to seeing you at the MVP Philippine History course.
Watch Spotlight Live every Thursday at 2 p.m. on Daily Tribune's official Facebook page and on Tribune Now on YouTube for the replay of the latest edition.
I am Dinah Ventura.
And I'm Jojo Silvestre.
And this has been Spotlight.